Good morning, everyone. Time for a new episode of Seattle Seahawks Free Agency Primer. And today we're going to be taking a look at cornerback. As of right now, a pretty significant need, although that fact comes with a few caveats that we need to understand before we go forward. Now, as of right now, we don't really have that many cornerbacks under contract. We've got Michael Jackson, who has played in like one NFL game. You've got Hugo Amadi, who I'm kind of done with. I don't really even want him here next year. And you've got Trey Brown, who just suffered a catastrophic injury in 2021 and might not be ready for week one. So we need corners. And I would like to bring back Sidney Jones. I'm open to bringing back DJ Reed if the price is right. But if you don't do one or both of those things, you do need to bring in some help. However, the way in which we go about getting that help is important. Pete Carroll is still here, and we know for all the things that he cannot do, he can find, groom, and develop good cornerback talent. He's done it his whole career. He's done it in Seattle over and over again. He's done it again the last couple years with DJ Reed and Sidney Jones. Those guys were nothing before Carroll found them. So if Carroll is going to be asked to do that again this offseason, which he should be, then one thing that needs to be understood is that the guy that we end up getting to be our next cornerback, our next reclamation project, our next guy who comes out of nowhere to become a good corner in the NFL, it's probably going to be somebody cheap, and it might even be somebody we as Seahawks fans don't even really know exists right now. It could be somebody completely obscure who we hadn't heard of, like Deshaun Shedd. Who had heard of Deshaun Shedd before he started playing for us? So you're going to have to understand that the next Seahawks corner might be somebody that none of us even know exists right now. We also need to understand that, as me and the Hawks Nest were talking about in stream fairly recently, this draft is a pretty good draft for zone corners. So if we need help at corner, it might be a good idea to hit the draft. We've done it before. We can do it again. So if you draft a corner, it's super cheap for the first 4 years. Meaning, put these two things together, and what I'm trying to get at here is I'm not looking to spend a bunch of money on corners. We need corners, but I'm not breaking the bank here. And there are going to be some names that get tossed out. People are going to say, should the Seahawks go after this guy? And I'm going to say it, if there's going to be a significant cost, the answer is no. I am willing to retain Sidney Jones for about $5 million a year. I think he's worth that, and I think $5 million a year is workable. If DJ Reed wants to come back for something around like $8 million or maybe $9 million a year, I'm open to that, just because he's proven he can excel here. But even that's a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to say this right here, right now. Do not bring me anything about the following guys. J.C. Jackson. I know you guys are going to want to bring him up. It's not happening. Spotrac thinks he's getting more than Jalen Ramsey. Spotrac thinks J.C. Jackson is about to become the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. Over $20 million a year. And even if Spotrac is off, even if they're off by a lot, there's no way they're off by enough for me to be willing to pay J.C. Jackson. At minimum, he's getting $15 million a year. No. No. Throw it out. Stefan Gilmore. Do not bring me anything about Stefan Gilmore. Spotrac estimates he's going to get $14 million a year. And he didn't even play that good last year, if we're being perfectly honest. He might be washed. So I was okay with it last year as kind of an emergency pull the cord option, but if he's really going to command this kind of money, no. Honestly, even if it's $10 million a year, I'm throwing it out the window. I don't want it. No, thank you. So no Stefan Gilmore. Darius Williams. I've heard this guy's name too a few times. Won a Super Bowl with the Rams last year, but again, absolutely not. Not for $14.6 million a year. Almost $15 million a year. I'm walking away. If Spotrac is off and it ends up being closer to $10 million a year, I'm still not doing it. At that price, just bring back DJ Reed. At least you know DJ Reed can excel here. You don't know if Darius Williams can. And I would expect most corners to be able to do well here, but there's still the example of like Kerry Williams. Sometimes you find a guy who doesn't. So Darius Williams, no. If the price is anywhere close to this, I'm not even considering it. Even Charvarius Ward of the Chiefs, if Spotrac is right here and he gets 4 years, $40 million, I'm not going there. Again, you could give DJ Reed a little bit less than that and probably keep him. Just do that at that point. So I'm not interested in any of these super expensive guys. I'm just not. Cross them off the list. If it's going to be a free agent corner who is more than $4 million or maybe $5 million, I would rather just bring back DJ Reed, who already proved himself in this system. So not really interested in any of the top guys, the big names, the guys who are going to command an exorbitant salary. So let's talk about some of the guys who I am interested in. And then at the end of the video, we'll talk about nickel corner as well, because that's important too. Okay, the first guy is going to be Kyle Fuller. Now, there are a lot of red flags here. And the only reason why I'm bringing up Kyle Fuller is the Desai connection. And look, I'll just be flat out honest here. Not super interested in Fuller outside of that fact, because it seems to me that his best days are behind him. He made 2 Pro Bowls in Chicago. Generally been a very durable player. He's played in every game in his career, actually. He's been a ball hawk in the past. Over his Bears career, he had 19 interceptions, had 10 across his 2 Pro Bowl years, 21 and 20. He had 43 total pass deflections across 2017 and 2018. So definitely had some really good days. But in 2021, he went to the Bears and didn't really do all that much. He played in every game, but did not have the opportunity to do all that much on a defense that was generally actually really good. But it seemed to me that Kyle Fuller couldn't do much to capitalize on that. So PFF thought he was awful, 47.2. Now, here's what I will say. In 2020, his grade was pretty good, 64.1, solid, decent. 2019, it was decent, 62.5. 2018, this was a Pro Bowl year for him, 83. Maybe going to another team like the Broncos, getting away from that Fangio-type defense. I'm sorry, excuse me. Not getting away from the Fangio thing, but getting away from the Desai thing. Maybe that played a role. I don't know. I mean, in Denver, they're still doing Fangio stuff, so maybe this guy just fell off the cliff. He's 30 now. Last year he was 29. It's not inconceivable, but I just feel like he's got a little something left to give in all likelihood based off his age. So if you want to bring in Kyle Fuller at this point because he had such a rough year in Denver, you could probably get him for like, I don't know, 1 year, $4 million. Maybe he would just take that. I don't think there's going to be a big demand out there for him. Okay, next name. This guy's probably my favorite veteran option. It's Xavier Rhodes. He's kind of older. He's about to turn 32, but I think he still has something left. He played pretty well for the Colts, and his last contract was not very big. So given the fact that he's a year older, his next contract will probably be even smaller. So Xavier Rhodes, he's made an All-Pro team. He's made Pro Bowls. His best days are certainly behind him, but he's generally, over his career, played a healthy number of games. He's been a ball hawk in the past. Over the last 2 years, he's got 3 interceptions with the Colts. Not great, but he's generally been a solid, effective player. He's a bit of a bigger guy, 6'1", so he fits the typical Carroll mold. And if you need somebody who's a veteran to make you feel a little bit better in case Trey Brown takes a while to come back, I think Xavier Rhodes is your man. PFF is lukewarm on him. They gave him about a 62 in 2021, which is okay. 2020, they gave him a really good grade, though, 76. So maybe 2021 was kind of a year where he fell off, maybe bad circumstances. It's hard to know. It's hard to know, but I would be interested in bringing in Xavier Rhodes, 1 year, $4 million. And if he never plays because Trey Brown made a full recovery and Trey Brown is balling, then all the better. All right, the next guy I'm going to look at here is Kevin King. And I can feel you guys looking at me like that, but we all know how Carroll works. He's turned around players at the cornerback position before. And Kevin King, big dude, 6'3". He's got the tall, bigger build that Carroll still covets. He's going to turn 27 this offseason. He played college football at Washington, and most of his negative reputation is off of the NFC title game against the Buccaneers. He's not a terrible player. He had 5 interceptions in 2019, made a lot of plays on the ball. I don't see any reason to believe that he's nearly as bad as the 2020 NFC title game would indicate. I think this guy has talent. He was I think, second round pick. I think he has potential, and I would be really interested to see if Carroll could re-spark his career. PFF actually thinks he played pretty well in 2021, by the way, 70.6. Now, he has posted some bad grades, 55.7 in 2020, and was the GOAT of the NFC Championship game, but pretty good in 2019. And because his reputation is not that high right now, what kind of a deal is he going to get? I think last year he got 1 year, $5 million from the Packers, and they're going to let him go now. He didn't have an amazing year. What if he would take another prove-it deal like that? Go work with Carroll for a year to try to get the big money next offseason. Maybe it would have to be a little bit more than that, but if he would be willing to stay around that $6 million per year range, I might be tempted to break my rule here and just say, all right, let's maybe we've got a potential superstar here, because Kevin King was highly drafted. He has talent that even a lot of the people that Carroll has had success with recently don't have. Like this, I mean, DJ Reed, who was DJ Reed? And then Carroll gets a hold of him and he plays at basically a Pro Bowl level in 2021. So I might be willing to break my money rule for Kevin King, because I don't think you're going to have to break it by that much. And unless he's already looking for the big money, it just seems like a match that makes sense. Carroll and Kevin King. I kind of like it. Okay, so real quick here, I'm going to give a couple of good options for nickel corner, because I want to upgrade at nickel corner. And there are a couple decent options in free agency here that had caught my eye. One is Justin Coleman, former Seahawk. He's about to turn 29. He's been kind of drifting around the league lately ever since he left Seattle. But he had success with Carroll. He had success in the cover 3 scheme in the system. And since he left, we have not had a lot of success replacing him. Hugo Amadi has been mixed, and there was that 1 year where we tried to get away with not playing a nickel corner, and I don't think it went very well at all. But this guy's been in Detroit the last 2 years, and, well, last year he went to Miami. Hasn't played a lot, hasn't done a lot, but did he fall off at the age of 26, or did he just find himself in worse situations? His PFF grade for 2021 is bad, about 54. 2020, even worse, 47. 2019, 60.5, kind of middling. And then you go back to his last year in Seattle, it was almost 70. So maybe this guy he's bad now. It's possible, but maybe he can be good again. And it was just a thing where getting away from Seattle and Pete Carroll sapped him of his ability. I would be willing to give him like 1 year, $2 million, 2.5, maybe even 3. Can't really go wrong at that price, honestly. Okay, last guy is a bit of a reclamation project. Desmond King, 27 years old. He made an all-pro team a few years ago, and then he's kind of been wandering the earth like Jules in Pulp Fiction ever since. Struggling to latch on, struggling to find his former glory. Made $3 million to kind of kill time in Houston this last year. Before that, he was on the Titans. After his career with the Chargers ended relatively ignominiously. And you have to go way back into the past to find his good year, which was 2018. But he's still relatively young. He's definitely talented. And there could be some circumstantial stuff that Carroll could work around. Because, again, if there's anything Carroll can do, it's this. If you look at his PFF grade, it's not good. But this most recent year, he's on the Texans. What are you going to do? It's the Texans. 53, bad, but it's Houston. 2020, across 2 different teams, it was still decent. 65.5. 2019, good. 71. Okay. And then you get to his all-pro year where he was a 90.5. Really good. So I feel like you could, it's like getting a car that's been completely totaled and trying to fix it back up into something that's pretty again. But Hey, we do that around here sometimes, so I would take a shot at Desmond King at nickel corner. All right, that's about it for this video. Those are the corners I have my eye on in free agency. Let me know what you think down below, and we're going to be moving right on, but I think we've done a pretty good job addressing all of our areas of significant need. So we're going to loop back around, and we're going to take a look at the more moderate areas of need and see what we can come up with. See you guys later. Go Hawks.